Greetings and salutations, Achroma fans. I'm Lord then with AchromaLord. Today I've got a quick video for you just on some of the cards I've been able to pull out of the Chapter 1 booster packs so far. I'll be doing another video all on the alt arts that I've been able to pull out, and another one after that on actually creating some palettes from what I've been able to pull from the booster packs. Today though, I wanted to talk about some of the other cards that you can get in the booster packs. Starting off, you can get some of the promo cards in the booster packs. I managed to pull out the Warriors of Wishwell location promo, which is a very good promo. Costs 4, gives you still 2, like all of the heroic location promos that you can get. In addition to that, we have heroic objects, realm runners, realm rifts, and realm runes. Now these are all obviously separate cards, so let's go through these very quickly and just see what I've been able to pull out so far. So we have the Golden Apple of Eris. So basically it costs 5. During your turn, or their turn, any player, including your opponents, may pay the owner of the card 2 shards to attach it to a character on any canvas. It doesn't have to be one of their own characters, can be another character. This can be a great card to play, especially if you're looking for a card to boost one of your teammates. So if you've got the spare shards, you've got a teammate, and you're playing a team game against another team, this card goes down, you can pay 2 to transfer it from another character that's perhaps been used on one of your opponents, and then stick it on one of your own or your teammates' cards. We have the Brisingamen. Unlike the Apple of Eris, the Brisingamen stays with you. Characters cannot attack the attached character, and all other characters must attack when able to during their turn. Unlike Eris, this one does actually give you a resolve as well. A lot cheaper, only costs 2. This can be a great card to play. When you do play the card, you can play it on one of your own characters or an enemy character as well, one of your opponents. The great thing about it is that you can play it on one of your characters that you do not wish to be attacked. It can still be erased through other means and other card erasure means, such as flare, things like this. But it does mean that the other characters, including your own characters, must attack if they are able to during their turn. It can be a bit of a double-edged sword there. Next up, another favourite one. We have the Club of Dagda. Now, the Club of Dagda means that the attached character has unlimited attacks during their turn. Each time the attached character attacks, you immediately gain 1. And last but not least, possibly my least favourite card, however it is one of the most populars. It is, if there is a meta in the game and a card which is a must include for any kind of tournament deck, then it's going to be the Sintamani Stone. 5 cost, gives you 2 back on the steel. As an action, you can dig a card from any player's dregs and immediately deploy it for free. So that's not just your own dregs, that's also your opponent's dregs as well. And the great thing about that is you can either trade a card that you have in your hand that you wish to play, gain the shards from that card and then play it. For example, if you have a 6 shard legendary and you don't want to pay 6 shards for the legendary, you could pay 5 shards, get that legendary from your dregs, you trade it for 6, you're up 6 shards, you pay 5, you're still up 1 shard, and now you get to deploy that legendary as well. Quite a nasty card to use, and a lot of people have a lot of fun with it. Often used in Curdle decks alongside Hex Clunker. As you can see, I've been able to get a few extra cards, so I have 4 Brisingamens, 2 Club of Dagdas, so I'm pretty sure I think I should make a deck soon using a Club of Dagda just to give it a go and see what I can create. Next up, on the Realm Runners themselves, we have Mutans. You deploy it on another player's canvas, so not your own, somebody else's canvas. Mutans cannot attack, and while it's on your canvas, you must pay 2 shards whenever you draw a card. This is a fantastic card to use on somebody, especially when you've used another card, for example, Nocturno, so they're not allowed to trade. Just forcing them to draw a card because they can't trade, they must draw, and then now they have to pay 2 shards as well. This is the sort of card that someone's going to do everything they can in their power to get rid of or nullify in any way they can, which is great because it's only costing you 2 shards. So if you don't need your legendary slot for something, you can throw Mutans in there, stick it on their canvas. Not only do they have to pay 2 shards to draw, which is forcing them to trade if they can trade, because they don't want to pay those 2 shards to draw a card, but they are then going to have to pay the extra shards, perhaps even up to 4 shards, just to remove that Mutans from their canvas. Next up we have Hisano. Hisano only costs 1. Just like Mutans, there is no resolve on Hisano. However, the action effect is that it erases all cards on all canvases except Hisano, and each player discards their hand and draws 5 cards. So even if you're only down to 1 card yourself, if Hisano is the last card you play, then you do get to draw 5 cards. If your opponent has now spent a whole load of shards, especially on their first or second turn, they're down to only a few shards remaining, they've got a nice big resolve on their canvas, you can throw down Hisano, which basically blanks their canvas as well as yours, and leaves her as the 1 remaining card. A very nasty and fun card to play. Next up we have Nimi. As an action, Nimi, you total up all the shards in all players' shard banks, then distribute the shards equally among all players, and you round down if needed. So if I have 15 shards, and you have 25 shards, I'm more than I'm going to be losing. We add those together. 15 plus 25 is going to be 40. We distribute them evenly. We both now are on 20 shards. Can be a great way to level the game, especially if your opponent has got a power ramp deck. For example, if they're using a very good Menagerie or Splat deck from Sparata, or if they're using a deck, for example, with Ray and they're trading up, or they are playing a trader deck from Norso, so they're ramping up and getting a lot of shards quite rapidly and having difficulty keeping up, you can play Nimi just to bring them back down again to the start. I quite enjoy Hod. As an action, you choose another player. Whenever they gain, you gain the same while Hod is on any canvas. So what I like to do with Hod is I will play Hod, I will then transfer him to my opponent's canvas through various other means, but I'll swap him to their canvas and then they can't attack him because he's on their own canvas. This would be a great card to then play something like Brazingaman on, because he won't be able to be attacked, which means they can only remove him using other means. For example, erasure means. Once again, if he's got protection on top of that, it's going to be even harder to remove him. A great card to play. If your opponent is doing anything to gain any kind of shards, any way they can gain a shard, Hod comes down and then you're gaining as well. Great to use in a team game. I mentioned this guy earlier. He can be a lot of fun to play. You gain a lot of shards very quickly. He's Ray. He only costs 1 shard. It's a very cheap cost. Gives you 5 back on the resolve. It's a massive gain, so playing him automatically is going to give you +4 that turn anyway. As a bonus to this, Ray himself cannot be attacked. Not that he would, because he's only a little kid, but he can't be attacked. It's a great card to play, great way of gaining a lot for yourself and boosting yourself nice and high. Moving on from there, we have our Realm Rifts. Now, first Realm Rift is Floral Overgrowth, and our second one is Aurium Fracture. I've been quite lucky to pull up 3 of these. I actually have a Norso deck where I use Aurium Fracture. The way these cards work, they're both exactly the same. One is for green, one is for pink. Once during your turn, you reveal a card with that colour. Basically just turn the card over from your palette, you reveal it. If you're using a deck with that colour extensively, for example, Aurium Fracture and Norso, then that's going to be one of the top cards you find. It's a way of gaining a free card draw straight away. I tend to do this before my draw trade step. And then during your resolve, you get +X, where X is the number of cards with pink on your canvas, or green in the case of Floral Overgrowth. And that does include this card as well. So if you had, for example, 2 cards with pink, or 2 cards with green on your canvas, you would get +2. This is a very good card. If you already have down 2 or 3 cards, it's a great one to stick down on the second turn or third turn because it's paying for itself straight away. Absolutely fantastic card. I do enjoy it. Next up, we have the Realm Runes. I have a couple of decks using Ijaz as my Realm Rune. Ijaz and Pyorth are, once again, very similar to the Realm Rifts. Rather than a location, these are action cards. There are a total of 4 of these. There's Algiz for yellow, there's Kuanan for red, Ijaz for cyan, and Pyorth for black. A lot of Achrom players will use Pyorth as a card in their deck. The benefit of these two cards with Ijaz, you reveal a card with Cyan and you deploy it for free. So if you're paying 4 for Ijaz, you turn over a card that also costs 4. You're then deploying that card for free, so it's a free deployment. You then +1 for each card of Cyan on your canvas. Kuanan and Aljaz doing something similar. And once again, that does include that heroic card as well, this heroic action. So if you turn over one card, and this is the first card you play, you've now got 2 cards with that colour, you're going to go +2, which means it's going to be giving you a cost of 2 in that turn, which is pretty cool, and you get that free deployment as well. Pjorth does something very similar, but rather than gaining, you reveal a card with black or Achrom, you deploy it for free, and then it's -1 for each card with Achrom on your canvas. So if you already have 3 or 4 cards on your canvas with Achrom on them, you pay to deploy Pjorth. Rather than gaining for those cards, you're going to be able to drain your opponent. Okay? So if you have 4 cards already on your canvas with Achrom, Pjorth will make the 5th one, so you can drain your opponent for 5, which is an absolutely phenomenal card. A lot of fun to play, especially when you've already got several cheap cards out that you're already playing with. That's all for the expansion cards and the promo card. I've got some other videos coming up on the alt arts that I've been able to pull out already. And then I'll be doing another video on creating some palettes with them as well. That's all for today. Have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.